Serfs and smartphones, a new kind of feudalism. All right, let's talk about branded feudalism. Sounds fancy, right? Like something out of a history textbook, but with better graphic design. Essentially, it's the idea that big corporations are the new feudal lords and we, the humble consumers, are like their serfs. Now, before you click away thinking this is another rant about how capitalism is evil, hear me out. Think about it. In medieval times, serfs relied on their lord for everything: land to work, protection from bandits, and even permission to marry. Fast forward to today, and many of us rely on a handful of mega corporations for our livelihoods, our entertainment, and even our sense of social standing. Feeling a little familiar? We're not talking about literal knights and castles here, though some tech CEOs probably have those in their basements. It's more about the power dynamics. Just like feudal lords, corporations exert a huge amount of influence over our lives, often without us even realizing it. So buckle up, because we're going on a wild ride through the world of branded feudalism. We'll explore how these corporate kingdoms operate, how they lure us in with their shiny branding, and what it all means for our freedom and autonomy in the 21st century. Spoiler alert, it's probably worse than you think. Lords of the logo, how corporations became kings. So how did we get here? How did companies go from selling us toothpaste to basically running our lives? Well, it's a long and winding tale involving globalization, deregulation, and a whole lot of unchecked ambition, but basically it boils down to this: corporations got really powerful. Remember those antitrust laws from way back when? The ones designed to stop businesses from becoming too big and squashing all the competition? Yeah, about those. Let's just say they haven't been aging well. Companies found loopholes, merged with each other to create mega conglomerates, and lo and behold, we ended up with a handful of corporations controlling vast swathes of the market. Think about it. A few companies control most of our social media, our food supply, our news, and even our online shopping. They have more wealth than some countries, and their CEOs have more influence than elected officials. They're like the Beyoncé of businesses, except instead of catchy tunes, they have lobbying power and the ability to crush their rivals like ants. And it's not just about the size of these corporations, it's also about how they wield their power. They use their vast resources to influence government policy, shape public opinion, and even dictate the terms of our online interactions. They're the puppet masters, and we're all just dancing to their tune. Pledging allegiance to brands, more than just a logo. But here's the thing about feudal lords, both old and new. They need people to buy into the system. They need us to pledge our allegiance, not to a king or a country, but to a brand. And that's where branding comes in. See, branding is more than just a logo or a catchy slogan. It's about creating an identity, an aspirational lifestyle that people want to be a part of. It's about tapping into our emotions, our desires, and our insecurities, and then convincing us that buying their product is the key to happiness, fulfillment, or at least fitting in with the cool kids. Think about Apple. People don't just buy iPhones, they buy into a tribe, a cult of cool. They're willing to camp out overnight, shell out exorbitant amounts of money, and defend their chosen brand with religious fervor, all for a phone that's basically identical to the one they had last year. And it's not just tech, it's everything. Clothes, cars, coffee, you name it. Brands have become status symbols, markers of identity, and even replacements for genuine human connection. We define ourselves by what we buy, and in turn we become walking, talking billboards for the corporations we pledge allegiance to. It's like high school, but with better marketing and worse fashion choices. Working for the crown jobs in the branded kingdom. Now let's talk about jobs, because even in the modern feudal system, someone's got to scrub the toilets, or in this case, write the code for the apps that let us order those toilet brushes. Remember how serfs relied on their lord for their livelihood? Well, in the age of branded feudalism, many of us are essentially digital sharecroppers working for the corporate equivalent of a feudal estate, the platform. Think about Uber drivers, delivery people, or anyone else who makes their living through a gig economy app. They don't have traditional employers. They have algorithms, terms of service, and the ever-present threat of deactivation hanging over their heads. They're at the mercy of these platforms with little to no bargaining power and often few, if any, labor protections. But it's not just the gig economy. Even those of us with real jobs are often beholden to corporations in ways we might not realize. Non-compete clauses, mandatory arbitration agreements, and the ever-present pressure to be on 24/7 all contribute to a work culture where loyalty is expected but rarely reciprocated. It's enough to make you want to grab a pitchfork and storm the nearest corporate headquarters, if only you could get the time off.